What about us as a, employer of associates? How does assessment help Manpower Group be a successful company?
It fits in with our value chain. I mean, first of all, if you want to assess, develop, manage, it starts with assessment. If you don't understand somebody's potential, then you can't train them or develop them, and you won't be able to manage them because you can't operate as a talent agent. One of the fundamental requirements for that is you have to know people, and assessment helps you do that. I think the second point is that it's really important in a world where future jobs are less predictable and where you just don't know how careers will evolve, to identify people's potential, and especially for jobs that they haven't done before, So that's why we care so much about skills adjacency, because if there's not going to be as many retail jobs in the future as in the past, and we have all these people who worked in retail, what could they do? Could they work in PR? Could they work in marketing? Maybe they're well suited for management jobs. And you can only answer those questions rigorously if you have tools that enable you to identify a person's potential.
I think that's why it's so important when we thinking about being in the skills revolution. If Manpower Group wants to be a leader in helping people upskill and reskill themselves, one of the biggest things we need to understand is it's understanding people, not just matching somebody job to job, because the skills that are needed are very different from the future. So this is, I think, even more important now.
And I think that's where all the differentiation will come, right? Because we can all identify the same jobs that are available and we can all have access to the same people. But the question is, who can see potential more clearly? Who can understand the matching part better? And there is a science to that, and that's what we're here to implement.
The easier we can do that, and the more efficiently we can do that, probably the better for candidates and for our clients.
For both, exactly. It's like much like when Amazon recommends you a book, you want the algorithm to work. When Netflix recommends you a film, you want the algorithm to work. And when we recommend a job for somebody or we bring work to people, we want that to be the best potential offer for that person.
Assessments have been important to Manpower Group. We've been doing assessments since our beginning. And because we believed, and we had a system called predictable performance, and it was based on assessing human potential and that finding the right job for that person's potential. Matter of fact, our founder, Elmer Winter, believed all people could be employed. You just need to find out what they would be good at. And I think that's the foundation of our company. And it's just it's really core to who we are here at Manpower Group.
Maybe the main value that data, technology, and tools add to that more kind of, I would say, human craftsmanship-like way to assess people is that it enables you to do that at scale, right? If you have millions of people, maybe 100 million people that you touch, then there's not enough trained human assessors to make sense of their potential, right? So I think like in any area of performance right now, we're at a stage where human expertise enhanced by technology and data will produce the best results.
Tomas, one last thing I'd really like to focus on, and that is at Manpower Group, we've been doing assessment for 70 years here. But one of the things with the COE we're really focusing on is streamlining assessment and making sure that we standardize it across the enterprise. And maybe you could talk a little bit about why that's so important.
I think it's so important to do it internally. If you want to drive any kind of transformation, it starts with hiring the right people, and for that you need tools. But to have a systematic process where everybody internally in our organization goes through the same assessment tools, it's really valuable because then we can compare people around the globe on the key dimensions that we're hiring for and that we think are very important. Secondly, we can make the system smarter because we have more data and it's global data, and we can link that data to performance indicators across the world and around the world. And I think thirdly, it will also enable us to improve around succession planning and have a more long-term trajectory, curating people's careers, right? Where it can be that somebody came to the organization quite junior, but we have their data, and then if in 5 or 10 years' time you want to know whether they will be a good manager or leader, you don't have to assess them again. You can use that data to get an indication of, get an estimate of their potential. So there's so much value in putting everybody through the same process, being trained and having expertise around that process, and then leveraging a bigger database where we take into account regional differences, yes, but also global data as well.
So that's one of the first steps would be for our leaders, we'll have a common assessment across the enterprise so that we can have that kind of same thing against our leadership success model. And we also will have one view of our leadership globally. So that's critically important, and that's a step we have to take forward. And then as the COE starts to look at all the assessments we're using with our clients, even standardizing those is important, because basically what you're saying is we need to provide value to our clients through predictable performance. And the only way to do that is have more standardization versus this one-off one. Because then all we're looking at is assessment as a transactional kind of activity versus a value-add activity.
Exactly. So we need to use it really in a more strategic way, taking into account our view of potential and what the most powerful and accurate methods are to evaluate potential. And then own the data, learn from the data, and feed more data into the system so that we become smarter at predicting future performance.
So in summary, we're going to streamline, we're going to make sure that we up our assessment IQ, and then we're going to be able to predict better performance for our clients and for ourselves.